The question is, this House do now adjourn. Danny Kruger. Yeah.
Thank you very much indeed, Madam Deputy Speaker. It is an honour to stand here in this empty chamber to speak about the original purpose of this space, which was a chapel in the Church of England. The old chamber of the House of Commons, on which this space is modelled after the Great Fire of 1834, was St Stephen's Chapel, formerly a royal church, given by the heirs of Henry VIII to Parliament to serve as its debating chamber. And, Madam Deputy Speaker, your chair stands on the altar steps, and the table with the dispatch boxes is where the lectern stood. And I mention this because the link between this place and the Church of England isn't merely ceremonial. The prayers we say here at the start of every day aren't just a nod to tradition. Our democracy is founded on Christian faith. And indeed, this Parliament remains the law-giving power of the Church of England. We in this place have the responsibility to approve or disapprove the doctrine and the rules of the Church. And that is as it should be, because the Church of England is not some private club, just another eccentric denomination. The Church is the chaplain to the nation, and through the parish system, in which every square inch of England has its local church and its local priest, we are all members, we all belong, even if you never set foot in your church from one year to the next, even if you don't believe in its teachings, it is your church, and you are its member. And so when I speak of the Church of England today, I am not speaking about the internal politics of the Anglican sect. I speak of the common creed of our country, the official religion of the English and the British nation, and the institution which, older than the monarchy, much older than Parliament, is the institution that made this country. And it is no surprise that both the Church and the country itself are in a bad way. Divided internally, confused, badly led. The Church is riven by deep disputes over doctrine and governance, and literally leaderless, with even the process of choosing the next Archbishop of Canterbury unclear, confused and contended. And the country itself reflects this, unclear in its doctrines and its governance, profoundly precarious, chronically exposed to threats from without and within, at risk economically, culturally, socially, and I would say morally. Madam Deputy Speaker, last month, in the space of 3 days in one infamous week, this House authorised the killing of unborn children, of 9-month-old babies, and it passed a bill to allow the killing of the elderly and disabled. And I describe those laws in these stark terms not to provoke further controversy, but because those are the facts. We gave our consent to the greatest crime, the killing of the weak, the most defenceless human beings. It was a great sin. And if I, standing here, have any power to repent on behalf of this House, then I hereby repent of what we did. But, Madam Deputy Speaker, in the reaction to these votes, and all around us, in reaction to the state of the country and the world, something else is happening. There is a great hunger in society for a better way of living. And I want to use this opportunity to explain what that better way is and why we here in England have the means to follow it. The Jewish and the Christian God is a God of nations. He's interested in people as individuals, but also as groups, as communities, not only of kinship, though that too, but of common worship with a common God. And this nation, England, from which the United Kingdom grew, uniquely among the nations of the world, was founded, created consciously on the basis of the Bible and the story of the Hebrew people. And in that sense, England is the oldest Christian country and the prototype of nations across the West. The story of England is the story of Christianity operating on a people to make the institutions and the culture that have been uniquely stable, uniquely successful. The Western model was forged and refined in England over 1,000 years, from the 9th to the 19th centuries. So what is that model? It's simply this, that power should arrange itself for the benefit of all the people under it, and specifically for the poorest and weakest. That the law is there to protect the ordinary person against the abuse of power. That every individual has equal dignity and freedom, including crucially the freedom of conscience, of religion and belief, making space for other religions under the Christian shield, a secular space, indeed itself a Christian concept, meaningful only in a Christian world. These are ideas that only make sense if you accept that we have some intrinsic value, a value that is given to us, not of our own making or invention. And so through all these long years, from the time of Alfred to the time of Victoria, it was assumed that a nation was a community of common worship and that our community, this country, worshipped the Christian God. Then in the 20th century, another idea arose, that it is possible for a country to be neutral about God, that the public space, the public square, was empty of any metaphysics, that the route to freedom lay through the desert of materialism and individual reason, no hell below us, above us only sky. And that idea was wrong, and the horrors of the 20th century attest to that, not least in the West, where we escaped totalitarianism but have suffered our own catastrophes of social breakdown, social injustice, loneliness and emptiness on a chronic scale. And now new threats, ugly and aggressive, are arising, because we have found that in the absence of the Christian God, we do not have pluralism and tolerance, everyone being nice to each other in a godless world. Because all politics is religious, and in abandoning one religion, we simply create a space for others to move into. Happy to give way to my friend.
Madam Deputy Speaker, my honourable friend is making a very moving and powerful speech. And I would say to him that our head of state, who is also the head of the Church of England, represents the rights of all peoples to live in a free society and to worship freely. And it is because our head of state is also head of our established church, the protections of all religions and all denominations are there within our constitution. And the cross is on the top of the crown that he wears, which demonstrates that the Christian faith is the basis of our constitution, our customs, our heritage and our British way of life. Would you agree with that?
My honourable friend will be surprised to hear I do agree with him. And he makes this point very, very well, and I absolutely acknowledge it. And it is the paradox of our constitution that under a monarchy we have the system of the most developed political freedom in the world. And under an established church we have a tradition of freedom of conscience and belief in which all religions can be accommodated. And it is because the cross is at the centre. And I notice the cross is above your chair too, Madam Deputy Speaker. So I was saying that in abandoning one religion, we simply create space for others to move into as dominant faiths. And there are two religions moving into the space that Christianity has been ejected from. One is Islam. And in a debate yesterday, I said how much I find myself in agreement on moral and social matters with Muslim colleagues here in Parliament. But as I've been saying, this is a Christian country, if it is a country at all. And I cannot be indifferent about the extent of the growth of Islam here in recent decades. But it's the other religion that worries me even more. And this other religion is a hybrid of old and new ideas. And it doesn't have a proper name, and I don't think woke does justice to its seriousness. It is a combination of ancient paganism and Christian heresies and the cult of modernism, all mashed up into a deeply mistaken, deeply dangerous ideology of power, hostile to the essential objects of our affections and our loyalties, which are families, communities and nations. And explicitly, most passionately, it is hostile to Christianity as the wellspring of the West. And this religion, unlike Islam, must simply be destroyed, at least as a public doctrine. It must be banished from public life, from schools and universities, from businesses and public services. It needs to be sent back to the fringes of eccentricity, like the modern Druids who invest Stonehenge in my constituency, with a theology that is mad but harmless, because its followers are so few, and no one serious takes them seriously. Now, we can no longer pretend, as they did in the 20th century, that we can be neutral or indifferent about God, that the public square is a godless desert. The fact is that the strong gods are back, and we have to choose which God to worship. And I suggest we worship the God who came in the weakest form, Jesus Christ. But this God is a jealous God. It's him or nothing. And we have to own our Christian story, or we have to repudiate it. And not to own it is to repudiate it. And to repudiate Christianity is not only to sever ourselves from our past, but it is to cut off the source of all the things that we value now and that we need in the future: freedom, tolerance, individual dignity and human rights. Without the Christian God, in whose teaching these things have their source, these are inventions, mere non-existent aspirations. To worship human rights is to worship fairies. But if we own our story, remember the real sources of our civilization, we can have these things and make them real freedom and tolerance and dignity, a culture of love. and crucially a culture of humanity, because we are in the age of the machine, and a great choice confronts us, whether to make machines in the image of fallen man, bent on exploitation and domination, with mankind in its sights, or to make them what they properly are, the servants of mankind, able to help us make a better world. So, Madam Deputy Speaker, to conclude, a wind is blowing and a storm is coming, and when it hits, we are going to learn if our house is built on rock or on sand. But we have been here before. The reformers of the 11th and the 16th centuries, the Puritans in the 17th century, the evangelicals in the 19th century, all brought this country back from the edge, from idolatry or error or just plain indifference, and from all the social and political crises that indifference to Christianity brought about. And they each, in their generation, restored this country to itself. And a new restoration is needed now, a revival of the faith, a recovery of Christian politics, a refounding of this nation on the teachings that Alfred made the basis of the common law of England all those centuries ago. This is a mission for the Church under its next leader, whoever that is. It's a mission for this place, this old chapel, which became the wellspring of Western democracy, and for us, its members. And it's a mission for our whole country, the route to a prosperous modernity, founded on respect for human dignity, responsibility for the created world, and the worship of God. Thank you.
Minister Jim McMahon.
Thank you, Madam Deputy Speaker. I would like to thank the Honourable Member for East Wiltshire on securing this important debate on the future of the Church of England. I am grateful for the opportunity to respond on behalf of the Government. The Honourable Member has often spoken very powerfully about the importance of faith, its role in public life and the benefit it brings. And today he has spoken eloquently on the positive role that Christianity plays in our wider society, a sentiment I believe that is shared across the House. Anyone involved in local life knows just how essential Christian places of worship are and the people who support them. They run our schools, toddler groups, they support food banks, they reach out to those facing homelessness, and they offer comfort and companionship to those who are isolated, who are grieving, or just struggling to cope. The truth is simple, that without them, much of our local life simply would just not function. Their contribution isn't just appreciated, it's indispensable. The Christian faith has played a central role in public life, and it continues to do so. The Honourable Member is one of a number of examples of good public servants motivated by their Christian faith and in the cause of the common good. Our society is enriched by those contributions. It is equally enriched by people from a wide range of backgrounds, heritage, and indeed faith and beliefs, right across this House. I see members of the Protestant, of the Catholic, like myself, the Jewish faith, Muslim, and Sikh communities, and those of other faiths, and indeed none, but all who are motivated towards the betterment of the people that we serve. Madam Deputy Speaker, for the benefit of the House, I will briefly outline the constitutional arrangements between the established Church, Parliament and the Executive. These arrangements have deep roots and have evolved over many centuries. Much of our Constitution is based on a combination of common laws, of statutes, of conventions and of principles. As the established Church, the Church of England has historically been subject to parliamentary legislation. Since the 1919 Enabling Act, however, much of its governance has been delegated to its own body, the General Synod. While the Synod manages internal affairs, its measures still require Parliament's approval and royal assent. As honourable members will know, the Lord Spiritual, bishops of the Church, sit in the House of Lords by right, and the Government believes that they offer a unique and valued spiritual perspective. There are still many ways the Church and Parliament remain closely connected. The Government reflects on a great example of the Lord Spiritual Women Act 2015 Extension Act 2025, skillfully steered through the House last year by my colleague, the Honourable Member for Erith and Thamesmead. This Act, requested by the Church of England, extends for more than 5 years the arrangement allowing female bishops to sit in the House of Lords as Lord Spirituals. In fact, it recently enabled the Right Reverend Sophie Jelly as the new Bishop of Coventry to take her place in the other place. The Church also has a president in this House in the second Church Estates Commissioner, and I'm pleased the Honourable Member for Battersea has done so much work in this regard in this House. She serves as a vital link between Parliament and the Church, ensuring that the Church Commissioners remain accountable to this House. The Executive, particularly the Prime Minister and the Lord Chancellor, play a key role in appointing senior clergy. While bishops are formally appointed by the Sovereign, this is done on the Prime Minister's advice, following recommendations from the Crown Nominations Commission. The Sovereign, as the Supreme Governor of the Church of England, remains central to these arrangements, in highlighting some of the ways the Church, Parliament and the Executive are intertwined, and I hope this gives assurance to the Honourable Member that when it comes to matter of importance of the Church of England and the Christian faith more generally, that Parliament and the Executive is by no means washing its hands. The Church is streamlining its national governance, with plans approved by the Synod earlier this week. These proposals will soon come before Parliament. This marks another step in the process which begun in 2020 to create better governance structures that better support the Church mission and its work. And regarding the Church's future, its day-to-day operations are of course not a matter for government. However, the government looks forward to the Church continuing to evolve, to meet the challenges of our time, and to play an active role in public debate on the most important issues that we face as a nation. Of course.
My honourable friend referred to the importance of the local parish. Across England, the parish is central to everything. The church, the local vicar, this is part of our community. In fact, we're very lucky in my constituency in Romford to have the Church of St Edward the Confessor, and we have a new vicar, the Reverend Jordan Palmer, who's just joined our church in Romford. But will you agree with me that the parish is vital, that it's not just about the church community, the members of the church, it has a wider responsibility to all people of all religions and of no religion, not just Church of England members. And so the Church of England should cherish the importance of the parish as part of all of our communities and the constituencies that we represent.
Well, I believe that very strongly, actually. I think if, even for members who aren't church attenders, they will take part in civic life at a local level that is so closely linked to their local parish church. I think about Remembrance Sunday and the role that the parish churches play in those reflections. I think about our own Mayoral Sunday, where the mayor of our own borough of Oldham will be the honorary church warden in the parish church, and every year that's celebrated in our town too. So regardless of individual faith and beliefs, I think it is accepted and in fact celebrated that parish churches are a significant part of local identity and a place for all people to come together. So absolutely, and of course welcome his new church leader on that basis. And I think that reflects, in a sense, the value that we place as a parliament on the importance, which is why bringing this debate today was so important, and I thank the member for doing that, and I hope he appreciates the response on behalf of the government.
The question is that this House do now adjourn. As many of that opinion say aye, the ayes have it. Order, order.